aren't you? That if you want to learn the skills presented in these magical lessons, you'll have to practice, practice, practice. And then take a nap, go to school, eat dinner, and then practice some more. Over and over and over again, because in order to make your friends believe your tricks, you are going to have to be fairly flawless. So, since you already know all these things, and if you didn't, now you do, I think that maybe it would be best for you to simply skip listening to the rest of this section and move on. I wish I had suggested that earlier. Oh, you're still here? How considerate, how diligent. Well then, the time is upon us. Go ahead, take a deep breath, focus, and keep listening.
Chapter 1. Theo Stein-Meyer often dreamed about flying. The dreams would begin with him lying in his bed, his parents snoring just down the hall. Then, as if by magic, he would find himself levitating several inches over his mattress. He would float over to his window, yank up the sash, then pull himself headfirst out into the night. Flying and swooping and swirling in the sky came to him as naturally as it did to his pet doves in the pen behind his house. He would simply squeeze something deep inside his mind, and his body would go. Up, 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 and farther still up. Directing himself through the sky, Theo felt just like he did while playing his violin, making melodies that skipped and flurried and sliced the air. Flying also reminded him of using his magic bow to make objects rise and dance in front of amazed audiences. You see, music and magic were Theo's two great loves, and he loved life best when he could do both at the same time. On recent nights, however, his night-flying dreams had turned sinister. A shadowy figure moved through the town below Theo, a tall man in a top hat and cape, whose face was hidden in darkness. He was creeping through alleys and peering into houses. From way up high, Theo could hear him whispering secret enchantments that would make people do bad things. The man's name was Callaghan, and he was responsible for much of the trouble Theo and his friends had faced together. The real Callaghan was a mesmerist who had lived in Mineral Wells long ago, but his henchman had appeared in town several times over the summer, attempting to carry out his nefarious agenda, only to be thwarted by the Magic Misfits. Theo feared that Callaghan would soon return to Mineral Wells to deal with the Misfits himself. In the dream, Theo swooped lower in the sky to eavesdrop on Callaghan, who had moved into the darkness of an alley. The shadows between buildings seemed to grow darker, more dangerous, and the man's whispering grew louder. Must stop Magic Misfits. Callaghan was talking about Theo and his friends. The mesmerist suddenly whipped around and reached up a hand toward the flying Theo, who shrieked as Callaghan dragged him down toward the ground. Must stop Magic Misfits, the villain shouted. Theo woke with a start, tangled in his sheets and gasping for breath. He struggled to free himself, taking deep breaths to calm down. He moved shakily to his window, where light at the line of trees near the horizon was bringing the late summer morning to life. Was Callaghan somewhere nearby, looking back at him? Everything was quiet, but Theo knew the stillness would last only so long. This is how the world works, after all. But for now, he allowed it to seep into his skin and ease him back to sleep. Later that day, Mineral Wells was wide awake and buzzing. Cars circled the center of town, passing quaint shops and stands while drivers looked for a rare parking space. Families strolled down sidewalks, while men in suits and women in smart dresses darted in and out of the town hall and the courthouse. The air was warm and slightly humid, but an occasional breeze kept everyone comfortable. If the residents and visitors listened closely, they could hear a melody carried by that breeze. A lively waltz played on a violin. The musician was a boy dressed in a tuxedo who had gathered with his friends at the gazebo in the town green to practice for the upcoming Mineral Wells talent show. Theo danced his bow across the strings. His friends, Carter, Layla, Ridley, Ollie, and Izzy were standing to the sides.